Okay, so I believe we can start, and let's start. Hello, guys. I'm really excited to present in this conference. Unfortunately, this happens. Unfortunately or fortunately, it happens online in this year, in this crazy year. A year ago, uh, we had really wonderful, super wonderful conference during the like a year ago during June timeframe, if I'm not mistaken, and we visited me and my wife. We visited wonderful New York City, and we had a lot of fun during the conference. So I'm really glad that I can present my session now on this conference, and it's in online format. But anyway, let's start. So short representation. So my name is Andrew Butenko, and I work as a technical architect for company Hitachi Solutions America, and I'm 11 times Microsoft Business Solutions MVP. And you can see here my social channels. Feel free to get in touch with me uh, using Twitter. You can visit my blog. If you're a coder or not so coder, but you want to learn something new, you can visit my GitHub. And also here are my information about my YouTube channel and my LinkedIn. So if we are not connected, feel free to get in touch and introduce yourself. I'm really social person, especially in these crazy times of COVID, social distancing, and virtualizing of whole things that are happening around. Okay, so what I plan to talk about during this session. So uh, some of you may know that I'm quite technical guy who is like writing a lot of code, building integrations, building codes, etc., 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 etc. But today my session is around the functional side of the table. So about like information that can be helpful for solution architects and solution architects who doesn't open the Visual Studio or who can do it but do not do it. And why I came up with idea of this session. So it's really a situation from like few months back. So I got a new project and I had conversation with architect, and architect provided me gave me a question. Okay, so our customer is really concerned about the quality of the data that their users entering into the system. So like they want to have phones in this format, and we have to write this functionality. So how long would it take? I thought it's really great that customer wants to have their data in standardized format. But do we really need to write the code? And I started to dig wonderful UCI interface and controls that are available out of the box. And I found out that actually the control that gives you that possibility is available out of box. And I get back to my architect and told, we don't need to write the code here. We just have to take the standard control and tweak it. He told, really? I told, yes, that's really easy. And that's how I came up with the idea of this session. So I decided to introduce the wonderful world of PCF controls, first and third party, available for the projects that you can use for no charge. They are available either out of box or can be downloaded, installed, configured, and used inside your projects with no charge. So let's start. So I will start from out-of-box PCF controls, and because they are out-of-box, they were designed and created by Microsoft. So let's start from the very first one, the one that I mentioned. font formatting control. It's not only actually the font formatting control. You can be really creative. And for example, if you want to store the information about SSN, information about credit cards, yeah, don't do it. Don't store this information inside your system. But if you want to store that kind of information that fits in some patterns, you can use this formatting control to make it work. So let me jump to the demonstration, and I will show you that control. So that's the form of the standard form of account, and we have account, we have multiple fields over here, and in this font field I can enter pretty much any kind of information that I want. So let me switch to the form that I customized a bit and change the control that is used to display this field. That's the one. And now, when I start entering information, I already have the mask. And this mask is applied to the data that I am entering. And even how hard I want, I will not be able to enter the information that will not fit this mask. That's really awesome. It's really awesome, isn't it? If you have questions, comments, or whatever, I have two screens. So on one screen, I see the whole presentation, either presentation or like browser screen where I demonstrate things. On the other screen, I have the Teams window, so I can read the chat and I'm following. So if you have any kind of questions, comments, maybe concerns, who knows, feel free to put it into the chat. Okay, let me jump back to the presentation and explain what is the next control. Text field autocomplete. So as you may remember, in times of 8.2, Microsoft added possibility, because that was really a request feature that was requested all the time. Provide possibility to autocomplete the text, like when you're entering the information and you are provided with the pop-up that gives you some hints or pre-populated options or whatever. And when Microsoft started the transition to the UCI interface from the classic one, they decided not to support that functionality for 100%, but what they did, they provided the out-of-box PCF control that gave you possibility to auto-complete the text. So let's take a look on the one. So it's exactly the same form, and that's the field that I applied autocomplete. Obviously, we have the limited number of countries, even it's like more than 200, but the set is limited. So to avoid mistypings, etc., user can enter information and choose it from the pop-up. So what is required and what possibilities are of this control? It's basically the text one, and as a source for autocomplete text, you can use either custom entity and some specific predefined view, or you can use option set, values of option set fields. Yeah, the possibilities are limited, but I will talk about it a little bit later when, let's say, if your scenario can be resolved in this particular way. So let's see how it works. So we have United States, and let's clean it out. And immediately we're getting the pop-up with the list of countries available. Let's start typing, I don't know, you. Or you immediately get the values available. If you are not sure, you can choose the drop-down, and it will provide you the list of the values. But you are not limited to. You can pretty much enter any kind of information if you want to. Or I know that this country does not exist, but it exists in Marvel Comics, but whatever. Okay, let me jump back to the presentation and skip to first control that I demonstrated already. So maybe you know, maybe you're not. There are two types of controls that are there are two sets of controls that are available for developers and customizers at the moment. So the first one is those types of control that I demonstrated, the controls that you can use on the form, which basically will demonstrate the information and provide some additional possibilities on the form level. But this is only one part of one set of controls. The other set is data set. So just imagine you want to demonstrate your data in some other way other than the really standard grid. I may be wrong, but I did not get the whole statistics, but according to my personal statistics, every fourth project customer wanted to have the representation of activities in calendar form, because almost all the people, they are working in Outlook and they are seeing everything in the calendar format, so they always wanted to have that kind of format. And as far as I remember, MSCRM add-ons was the leader in this market until the version 2016. Every fourth project had this MSCRM add-ons and calendar, group calendar, or some kind of extension that those third party provided. So when Microsoft started to develop UCI and started to create their own UCI controls, they decided to take this niche as well. So the next one control that I will demonstrate is it will be the next one after this one. Calendar control. Let me jump back to the UCI interface. Let me go back to activities. And as you can see, I have imported some data. I have 43 activities, and I see it in the pretty standard format. So that's really boring standard grid that displays information as it was displayed since version 1.2. Nothing radically changed. So let's go back to this ticker, and let's switch to let's choose this show as, and let's choose this representation that I configured, calendar control. And as a result, we see the information in pretty much way how we see it in the Outlook. And we have different representation formats. So we can see as a day, we can see it as a week, and we can see all the activities that fit the criteria, and we can see it as a month. Isn't that awesome? Like it? Don't like it? Did not use it? Okay. Let's jump to the next one that I have spoiled already. So I will not do any announcement. So this is the editable control. So I'm pretty sure that almost every single implementation wanted to have the editable control. Like instead of opening record and editing it and go to the next one and to the next one, I'm pretty sure that almost every single person that implemented Dynamics or Dynamics CRM on Dynamics 365, or how it's called now, CDS, that okay, Mihir, I can let's put it to the parts when I will answer all the question, because that one can take some time. I really want to show a lot of controls, but I hope that I will have time to show on how to configure controls. Okay, so let's switch to editable grid. So every single implementation that I was working, almost every single customer wanted to have the editable grid, and there was like few controls available on the market. I created few controls myself using jQuery and Knockout and styling. When PCF arrived, Microsoft created PCF Controls. So I believe that some of you has already seen and used the editable grid. So without any additional words, let's just check it. As you can see, this is really the standard control, standard grid, read only. Let's switch to it. I have this button, show as, and I have editable grid here. Let's click on it. And after that, we're getting the possibility to edit data in the bulk way. Sorry. And that's it. And to save it, you have this tiny icon here. That's it. The data is saved. On top of this, you can apply different things to this data. You can add additional validation. You can block some columns, but for this, you will need the help of developer that will help you to write some really small chunks of code, etc., etc. So possibilities are really unlimited, and you can do a lot of things. But if this control doesn't fit your requirements, you always can involve and bring developer to the project that can build something more fancy control that is available out of box. Okay, let's go further. The next set of controls I called attachment controls. So I remember a number of times when customer wanted to have some kind of cool representation of attachments, like they wanted to see it all at the same time. They wanted to have drag and drop, but out-of-box controls were not available at the moment. So when PCF hit the ground, few developers decided to create own controls with own flamers, and I will demonstrate 3 controls. All of those controls are unique, have own cool features, and provide different experience for the user. So let me demonstrate. So Ben Bartle and Josh, I may mispronounce the name, but the last name is Hetherington, created the control they called attachment grid control. My buddy Ivan Fitsko created the carousel control, and another one, my buddy Alexander Alashin, created the attachment gallery control. So without any additional words, let's just jump to the instance and let's see how it works. Let me go to the Datum Corporation, and to demonstrate controls, I created separated form for every one of those. So let's start from the attachment grids control. This is the one. As you can see, I placed this control here, and we have here documents, all the documents that are available. And if you want to upload something, just anything, into this control, you can just drag and drop the file here. you can see this uploader thing, and file is here. And based on the type of the file, it will try to provide the appropriate image for it. And if you want to delete it, you can just click delete, and you have options to delete or cancel. You can delete it. If you want to open it, you're just making double click, and the file is represented. You see the file, the content of the file. If it's the JPEG, if it's PDF, it will try to render it and provide it in this way. Okay, let's switch to the next one. And the next one was the carousel control from Ivan Fitzko. Here is the one. The idea is really similar, but in this case, you had possibility to see the information over here, and you had the slider to see it. But it was only for the image control, for the image data like JPEGs, GIFs, etc. And let's switch to the next one, and that was attachment gallery control. The data has been loaded, and here you can see the information in this way. You can switch between. For the PDF, if you want to preview PDF, you have to double click on it. And once it will be loaded, you will get the information about the content of the file. Okay, so how was it? Like it? Don't like it? Plan to use it in projects? Just curious, you can leave a line. Thank you. And let's switch to the next one. The next one is a toolkit of controls that I created myself because either customer wanted or I really. Thank you, Michael. I really value your opinion. Okay, the next one is the set of controls that I created myself. I call it AB that stands for Andrew Butenko, PCF Controls Toolkit. I'm an author, and here is the list of controls that I came up with. So let's start from the very first one, composite address control. So as you may know, Microsoft introduced UCI interface as a new revolutionary interface that will resolve a lot of problems of end user. And when they started the transition from the classic interface to the UI, not all of controls that were available out of box were able to make that transition. One of those controls is composite address. So I believe you know that there is like a possibility to have like small tiny section in which you're clicking, and you're getting the pop-up that contains information about your address, like your street, your city, your state, your postal code, your country. Unfortunately, this control didn't make it to the UCI interface. So I had a customer who really wanted to have that control in their instance, even after transition, because user already used it and they used to use it, and they wanted to have it inside the UCI interface. So I decided to spend some time and bring this control to the customer, and because it was really my idea, I included into my controls toolkit. So without any additional words, let me demonstrate it. So let's switch to this account composite address control. As you may see, I have this control over here. When I click on it, I'm getting the pop-up that provides exactly the same, almost the same experience as we had in the classic interface. So you have possibility to enter address, street 2, street 3, if it's required, city, state, postal code, country, region. And all the changes that you will perform will be immediately formatted. And this format is customizable. Absolutely. Absolutely. I will, at the end of presentation, I will demonstrate on how this controls, on how controls can be used and configured inside the system. It was the first one that I plan to demonstrate. And the next one is address autocomplete. I personally created, I believe, 3 or 4 different versions, 3 or 4 different versions of that control. So when you're entering the address and you want system to help you, and usually the data provider that were used was either Bing Maps or Google Maps or any other providers. I personally created one for Google and one for Bing. And when we got the PCF, it was the second control I decided to create. But with some time, it enhanced. I made it more powerful, and I will explain it just in a minute. So without any additional words, let's switch to Bing Maps address autocomplete form. As you can see, I have the address section and the list of all the fields that I have here. Let me just start to enter some address. So let's say 401 South Parker Road. It's not exactly my address, but it's really close to place where I live. So this is the address that I was looking for. I'm entering, clicking it, and it splits it into pieces and places places it into the required fields: street into street, city into city, etc., etc. On top of it, I decided to include the address geocoding. So I have field address 1 latitude and longitude, and after the geolocation, the data is pulled into fields. But I decided, okay, one customer will use Bing. What if other customer would want to use Google? Should they create another control? I thought it makes no sense. It's better to create one control, but with possibility to use different APIs. That's what I did. So let me switch to different control that to the different form where I have configured, instead of Bing Maps provider, Google Maps provider. For regular user, you will see absolutely no difference. Now I will start entering, just to show that it really provides the output. I will start entering the address of our office: 25 East Court Street, Greenville, South Carolina, USA. Works exactly the same, looks pretty similar, and that's how it worked. But I started to think even a bit further. Okay, what if customer wanted to have not only the address autocomplete, but they really wanted to see the address on the map? Can I do it? Yeah, of course. And I introduced another one control that I have in my toolkit that is called map control. So you may know the standard dynamics application or CDS now, the Bing Maps control that are available out of the box that show the location of the address. It's limited only to Bing Maps, and it is limited only to account entity, contact entity, system user, and lead, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm wrong, just put it into the chat, but I believe I'm not wrong. I decided why not to create the control that can be used anywhere in for any entity. And I did it. And I added exactly the same flavor to it. So it's up to user to choose which type of data provider to use. And in this case, because I demonstrated the Google Maps address autocomplete control, I added the address component that uses Google Maps to show the address here. And as you can see, that's a Google. It's not Bing Maps. It's not something else. And I have it here. After that, I started to think even in slightly other way. Okay, wouldn't it be great if user will have the possibility to see not only one address but multiple address on the map? Can I do it? I thought, yeah, why not? So I created the control that is the dataset type, and it shows addresses across the dataset. So I created and configured this map grid control, and I can pre-configure it, and I will show you at the end of the presentation on how you can configure it. So I created this map grid control. Let me switch to it. It will take a minute to render the data, and as you can see, those records are displayed here. So, and in order to open the record, I have to click here. I will get the pop-up, and I can navigate to the record. Okay, let me jump back to presentation. Do you like it? Liked it? Not liked it? Hated it? Any ideas? Thank you. Okay, let me jump back further. At least few times I had the requirement from my customer to show few records at the same time on the same screen with possibility to modify the data. Let me give you an example. You have the account, and on the account you have the primary contact. On the primary contact, you have some fields that you want to edit without leaving the account, etc. I created some really similar functionality back in version 2013, and I had pretty similar scenarios after. But after PCF hit the ground, one MVP from France, Clement Olivier, created the control that resolved for 100%, just for 100%. Let me demonstrate you that wonderful control. Let's go to my example record. And as you can see, I have the read-only quick view form that shows the data from this related primary contact, René Valdez. And I see job title, email, business, and birthday, but I can't do anything with it, really. I can only read information. Clement created the control that enabled possibility to edit it. So let's switch to this form that I call quick edit form. And voila, this is now editable. And I can edit the data. I can provide whatever is possible here and save it without leaving the record. Clement created the set of controls Let me jump back here. He created set of controls and packaged it like a controls toolkit. So it also contains any composite fields control. So this control is pretty similar to mine, but I believe I'm really short on time, so I will not show this. It's pretty similar to address composite address control, but you can add any kind of fields into this pop-up, modify it, and work with it. And this list of this, I believe it's some kind of, I believe, friend specific control that basically enables the validation of the data that you enter in inside, and it either allows or it doesn't allow you to enter this data in those fields. I'm not familiar with it, so let's switch. Let's jump forward. So tagging controls. This set of controls is really wonderful, and I have created few. But when PCF hit the ground, few authors created set of controls. So Alex Schlega created end-to-end multi-select control, and Joshua Campbell created the tag picker grid component. Controls are pretty similar, and the main idea behind the control is provide the possibility for the user, instead of using the end-to-end grid, provide the possibility to add related information as tags. Let me switch to form. Let me switch to form. And let me switch to end-to-end multi-select control. So the data model behind this customization is pretty similar. We have account, and we have end-to-end relationship with the entity that is called industries. So using simple tag mechanism, you can either add or modify the way you want this information. And behind the scenes, the information in related end-to-end entity will be either created or dropped. And another one, MVP created his control. Tanguy Tuzard. I believe almost all of you, if you don't know who is it, but I'm pretty sure that almost every single person of you using his tool, his main masterpiece that is called XRAM Toolbox. So Tanguy created pretty similar control but he provided a little bit other flavor to it. Let's jump to end-to-end checkboxes. So as you can see, you can see the whole list of all the related entities possible. And to associate or deassociate records with the current one, all you need is just to check or uncheck checkbox. At the behind the scenes, this association record again either created or dropped. Okay, so I believe I'm really short on time. Ari, can you please tell me how much time do I have? I believe around 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Yeah, you could have you have 10 minutes.
Okay, so let me go through quickly the questions. Okay, how to bring controls on the forms. So let me go here. So I can be wrong, but at the moment it's not possible to bring your own custom controls to the form using the maker experience. So make.powerapps.com will not work, but you always, as a backup, you have the old way, the old UI. In order to go there, you have to click this button and go to advanced settings. And you're getting the interface that with us since the version 2011, if I'm not mistaken. So you're going to solutions, And let me open the solution I was working with. It was the PCF Controls demo, where I have all entities and settings and whatever I needed. So to use some controls, you have to go to form and let's say open the form that where you want to bring the control to. You have to choose the field. You have to choose uh, click change properties, and here you have additional tab that is called controls. You're going here, you're choosing add control, and you're adding. You can add any kind of controls that are compatible with current type of field. Mihir, does it answer your question?
Yes, but if I want to get some control from the like global marketplace or someplace, how do I add that?
Okay, so you mean how to get the control into the system, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So there are, generally speaking, two ways. The first one, if developer provides the solution. For example, let's check my GitHub. Mm, that should be my GitHub. And under repositories, I have this AB controls toolkit. I'm going inside and I'm going to releases. And here I have the managed version of solution. So to get the controls that are included into this solution, you're just downloading the solution. You're going to solutions and you import the solution. As you can see, I have done that already, and my controls toolkit is available as managed solution over here.
Okay, got it. Thanks. This is great.
If the managed solution is not available but the source code is available, that's a case, that's a situation that could be possible. In this case, you will have to build the control yourself or ask developer who introduced the control to provide the solution and upload it somewhere. Unfortunately, there is no better way at the moment.
Yep. Thanks. Thanks, Andrew.
Okay, let's go further. Uh,
Yeah, I think somebody was asking how many. I assume all of these are on PCF Gallery, or the majority of them are.
Yes, a majority of those are at the PCF gallery, and if you haven't visited it yet, I highly recommend to visit this wonderful site. It contains pretty much all of control that I demonstrated and even more. So if you are looking for some kind of control, you can type here, look for control, and control will have references and notifications like it's like a model-driven apps control, or it is Canvas apps control, or whatever. Is licensing present or not, and is managed solution is available or not. So in order to download it, you're just clicking the button. You're landing somewhere at the GitHub, and it will be available either here or under solutions if it is available. So you can download it and install it on your system. So that's the answer. Chris, yes, that's the question you asked is potentially doable, but that would require slightly different type of control. And if I'm not mistaken, there is a heat map. There should be a heat map control. At least I saw one. I believe that's the one. Yes. I believe this is something you were asking about. That's doable. That's possible, and the information that you want to see in this way, it could be displayed, but it would require separated control to be either developed or used. Okay, let me go through the questions again. Okay. Seems that's it. If you have questions, you still have 5 minutes to ask it. Okay, then thank you for your time. Thank you for visiting my session. I hope you like it. You got some knowledge and some wonderful controls that are available over there, and that will cost you just nothing. So that's information about myself, my blog, my YouTube channel, my Twitter, my GitHub, and LinkedIn profile. Thank you for being here.
Thanks a lot, Andrew.
Yeah, Danish, it really will cost you nothing. You have just to install it. you have no need to pay any single penny for it, at least now. Okay, and this is information about business application communities. If you have any kind of questions related to Dynamics, Power BI, Power Apps, Flow, or Power Virtual Agents, feel free to go there. You are not alone. There will be a number of experts who will be able to help you with your problem. You are not alone. And this is save the date, Microsoft Ignite. I believe in this year it will be in virtual format. I don't know about the pricing, but I highly recommend if you want to see the latest and greatest things from Microsoft, I would highly encourage you to save the date and visit this event, even in online format. Thank you.